All right, Daniel. Thanks for letting me grab an interview with you. First off, just want to ask you about what you thought about the Mundine fight. Did you expect him to lose or win, and where do you think he should go from here?
Uh, to be honest, I didn't watch the full fight. I hadn't seen the highlights of the Monday fight, but I made sort of predictions early on. Because I've seen Clody fight, a few years ago, and I knew what style of fighter he was, and I knew if he went at Mundine and put that pressure on Mundine, he'd make it very hard for Mundine. He doesn't like that style of fight, so I thought if he could do any of that sustained and do that for a little while, he'd probably beat Mundine. And so to be honest, I wasn't totally surprised by the outcome. Probably I was more surprised by how many knockdowns he had because I knew Clody wasn't a big puncher. But Mundine's credit, he got up and survived the fight. I'm not sure what he's got now though. There's not a whole lot he could probably do. There's probably not too many guys around the world that would look at Mundine as a way to rise, a way to step up. I guess he's only going to chase the money now. He's mentioned my name. He's mentioned Danny Green's name. I think he knows that's not going to happen.
The rumors around his camp are Danny Green at 175.
Yeah.
What do you think of that fight if it were to happen?
I think Danny Green's probably in training now, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get down. He'd love that fight. I'm sure Danny would be the first one to be there for that fight, but he's been out of it for a little while. The money might make him reconsider slightly, but I don't think that's a fight. It's not a fight that interests me greatly anyway.
Last time we saw you, you stopped Garth Wood. You looked really good in the fight. I'm sure you've had a chance to rewatch it since then. How would you rate that performance compared to the rest of your career?
Yeah, I was happy with that fight. I guess the finishing touches to it all. My power was coming together. I guess I showed a little bit more aggression than I have in the past. So I was happy with that. I was happy to practice some of my skills. Garth can be an awkward guy. He can be a little bit tricky. Can be dangerous with his head coming in. So I had to be smart about it. I had to use my footwork and speed, and it was great to be able to land some good shots on him, and I guess send a bit of a message out around the world that I'm still around and I'm coming for these champions.
You were way more aggressive in that fight than you have been in some fights in the past. Is that a change you've made in your style to be more popular, or is that just happened in that fight? It was just an easy target kind of thing.
Yeah, it's something I've been working on. There are times in my fights, I guess depending on opponents, but I definitely do need to be more aggressive in stages, and I need to take control, dictate, back myself, and that's something that I've been working on. Whether it is for the whole fight, whether it is for a few rounds for the fight, I know that there's times that I have to back myself and become a little bit more aggressive, but also I'm never going to forget what's got me to where I am. My skills, my footwork. I'm always going to keep that, but I'm just sort of adding bits and pieces. I know the middleweight division is very strong, so you have to be ready to add different parts to your game, and that's part of my game that I know that I can improve on. And that fight I did improve, and I know I can still improve more on it.
You're fighting Matthew Macklin, HBO, May 24th. How excited are you about the fight?
Yeah, very excited. I'm looking forward to getting back over and fighting again on US soil. It's going to be exciting. Fighting Macklin is going to be a good fight. He's a tough fighter. He comes to fight, which is what I like. I want to go over and put on a good performance, but I guess it's probably similar to the Garth Wood fight in my mind. I have to not only go over there and win against Macklin, I have to go over and put on a great performance. I have to show what I'm about, make a bit of a statement. There's Golovkin still around, Sturm, Martinez is still about slightly, so I want to go over there and make a statement. And Macklin's going to be a tough fighter, and we're not taking him easy, but he's going to be the guy that I can do that.
He's had his share of struggles as past few fights. He lost to Golovkin in a pretty embarrassing knockout. He didn't look good against Lamar Russ. What kind of guy are you expecting from him May 24th?
I'm expecting the best. I'm hoping for the best. Anyway, he's probably, he knows he's had a couple of hard fights, so he's probably in the same boat as me. He wants to come out and make a statement, prove that he's not done. So we're expecting him to be fit, ready, and very, he'll be very aggressive for this fight. He'll want it badly. So those are the type of fights that I want. Those are the fights that make it exciting fights. And I have to showcase my, not only what we were talking about, my aggression, backing myself, but also my skills as well.
Do you plan on testing his chin? Because he's been knocked out. Do you plan on, is that going to be what you go for to see if he's still there?
I never go into any fight preparing to knock somebody out, or not so much in those terms, but with the intention of just knocking a guy out. If the knockout comes, and I know if I throw the punch properly and I land it properly, I will knock anybody out, but I don't go in there with the intention of saying I'm going to knock him out in the third round or the sixth round. He can take a punch, don't get me wrong. He's proven in the past he's taken a good punch. He has been knocked out before, but I'm not going out there just to knock him out. I want to break him down first, and if it comes, I'd love it to come as well. It makes that bit more of a statement that I want, but I'm happy to just to make sure I win the fight.
How much tape have you watched on him so far?
I've watched a bit on him. I've watched the Stern fight and a couple of other fights with him as well, and that's why he does step up at times. He is a strong fighter, and he will come to fight. So we're preparing for all those things, and I think it's going to be an exciting fight to watch.
There's no venue yet announced. Where do you expect the fight to take place? And if you could have it anywhere in America, where would you choose?
To be honest, I got no idea where it's going to be, and I'm not worried. As long as it's a ring somewhere, I'll be happy. Obviously, Vegas is always a place that any fighter would love to fight, but I'm happy to fight anywhere, and on such a big card, with my team at the Grange looking after me, and Gary Shaw, I don't mind where in the world that I fight.
Have you lined up any sparring partners for the fight already?
Yeah, my coach Graham he's been searching around, been making sure that we get fighters that are as similar to Macklin as possible, and I think he's done a pretty good job so far. I'm definitely going to be prepared for this one. I'm be prepared for 10 hard rounds.
Anybody notable, name-wise, who you're going to plan on sparring with?
No, at this stage. I think we will be starting with another Australian fighter, Jared Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably, to be honest, he's probably got a few more skills than Macklin, but he's going to be a good sparring partner because we've done rounds before as well, but because he's a very busy fighter, he'll like to get in there and mix it. He does have probably better footwork than Macklin, so it's going to get me moving as well. It's going to start things up very well.
Your last trip to the U.S., it didn't go the way you had hoped. How important is it for you to turn that around and go get a win there?
It's very important, but I'm not worrying about that sort of thing too much. That's, I guess, in a way, it's out of my control. Like worrying about the decision and trying to impress too many people. I'm just going to focus on myself, and I know that I've got to make a statement, and pretty much that's it. Just go over and do my job. I'm going to prepare the right way. We've been training hard since the Garthwood fight. We know something like this was going to come up, and that's why we're so excited that it has came up, and we just want to get over there and do it.
You seem to put on a little bit more weight last time than you normally do before fights, and you weren't quite as quick as you've been in the past. How much of that do you put on, fighting in America for the first time, dealing with the time difference, and do you plan on getting there sooner for this fight than you did last time around?
Yeah, that's something that we're going to talk about with my management, but I'd like to get there maybe a couple of days sooner than I did last time. I guess just to get over the flights and finish off the last little bit of training and all that stuff, but we're sort of happy with my weight, like putting on, and the losing of the weight wasn't an issue. It was as long as I felt good, in which I felt good, sometimes I put on 5 kilos, sometimes I put on 10 kilos. So as long as I'm feeling comfortable, as long as I'm feeling good in myself, then that's all that matters.
There's 3 real big middleweight fights coming up this year, aside from your fight with Macklin. First one, Triple G, Golovkin versus Chavez Jr. Who do you see winning that fight?
When I first heard about it, because it's that super middle as well, so I sort of, for that reason, you start leaning towards Chavez because of that weight difference, and he's big anyway. He's a big middleweight, so he's going to be pretty big and strong as a super middleweight. But Golovkin has that footwork, that control, that patience when he's busy as well. So that's something that against Chavez Jr., which sometimes he can be a little bit reckless in the way that he fights. I mean, he can take a punch, but he can be reckless and just go for the big punch too often. And against a guy like Golovkin, I think he's going to run into a little bit of trouble. So I'd probably be leaning towards Golovkin on this fight, just for that reason, like that Chavez Jr. will get a bit reckless and he may get caught, he may get outpointed. If the fight doesn't get stopped, he'll really get outpointed in fights.
Sam Solomon versus Felix Sturm in the rematch. Who do you see winning that one?
I guess on Sturm's last performance, he'd sort of be leaning towards Sturm, but Solomon is just one of those fighters. He's got the style that upsets just about anybody. He upset Sturm in that first fight. Sturm didn't know how to take him, and that can be very frustrating. I've done rounds with Sam myself, and he's a very, very awkward guy, very tricky. He is aging slightly as well, so that's something that plays into it a little bit. But I'm sure Sturm wants to come out and obviously make a bit of a statement with that as well, and prove that he's a worthy IBF champion.
Cotto Martinez, would be the biggest fight for sure in the division. Who do you see winning that one?
I guess it depends on Martinez if he's just fully recovered from all of his injuries. He has been injured a fair bit. Cotto is the type of fighter that I think he doesn't have as good a footwork, but he's got good power, and if he can track Martinez down and put him in a corner, he's gonna be able to hurt him. He's gonna be looking at the Chavez Jr. fight and saying, I don't want to stand over in the middle and box with him. I want to put him on the ropes, and I'm going to make him stay there, and we're going to fight in there. So it's a tricky one to pick because Martinez will be moving, like he normally does, and he does have power as well. So it's a little bit closer for me, that fight. I sort of probably see it going the distance. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. Or was close to a points decision either way.
If you could fight any of those guys I just named, who would you fight?
To be honest, I want to fight all of them. All of those guys, they're on my list. Obviously Sturm, he holds the IBF title that I used to hold. Golovkin's definitely right up there. I've spoken about Golovkin a fair bit. They're all on there. Martinez definitely. I guess Cotto's up at middleweight now, so he's a huge name. Any of those guys, obviously I got to get this next fight out of the way. Macklin's going to be tough, and he's going to come and he's going to fight. But once we get him out of the way, wherever.
HBO's got a lot of money, a lot of time and investment behind Gennady Golovkin. There was the chance of you fighting him earlier in the year. It didn't come off because of the main event date. A lot of people would say that you're scared to fight him, this, that, and the other. Do you have any problems with fighting him? Should you guys both win your next fights?
No, I don't have a problem fighting Golovkin. It's something that I get a little bit excited about. And speaking with my management, I was disappointed that something else couldn't be made. I think they mentioned to me if it was a week earlier or a week later, the fight would have happened 100%. But unfortunately, the deal didn't work for us. We wanted the fight shown back in Australia. It was going to be a huge fight. We thought the Australian public deserved to be able to see it. fight as well. So it may work in our favour anyway, because having this Macklin fight is going to be a good fight. I mean, he's a banger. It's just going to prepare me even more for whatever comes next.
Do you think there's a chance that Golovkin didn't really want to fight you? He signed pretty quick straight away to get in with Andy Lee, someone who's not on your level. He hasn't made you a ton of offers in the past, even though he's the supposed most feared man in boxing right now. Do you think that he really wanted you in the first place?
It's probably hard to say. I think at the moment he's probably full of confidence as well, and I don't think he really minds who he fights. But in saying that as well, he probably looks at different fighters and probably thinks that is going to be an easier fight than that one. And I know he knows the fight with me wasn't going to be an easy fight. I was going to be there, and I was going to be in his face and making it uncomfortable for him. And I believe I've got enough of what I need to be able to beat a guy like Golovkin as well. We have fought in the past, we have fought in the amateurs before, and he did beat me in the amateurs. But I've fought plenty of guys that have been similar to him over the years, and my experience has grown massively since then. And since I've been professional, I believe I've just been getting stronger and stronger. And I know that fight will happen at some stage, and I look forward to it.
Appreciate you sitting down with me. Any last things you want to say before the Macklin fight?
I'm just saying, I just want to say that I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting back to the US and putting on a great show. We're going to train hard, we're going to do the right thing, and hopefully my fans will love tonight.
Thanks, Daniel.